Productivity and Influence, PRCI. And the Comprehensive Africa Climate Change Initiative Project, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation through the International Fertilizer Development Center, the Michigan State University, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the Center for Coordination of Agricultural Research and Development for Southern Africa, ISDA, the Alliance of a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, the African Union Commission, and all the ANAPRI centers. And now, today's program.
Advancing Africa's agriculture through policy
Hi again, everyone. I will ask again for everyone in the back to please come closer. Take the front seats, please. Gentlemen, please come closer. We don't bite. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming closer, please. Taking the front seats on the side, on the right as well. Thank you, sir. I hope you enjoyed the lunch break. The high-level panel will start anytime soon. This high-level panel will focus on domestication and implementation of the Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. This session brings together leading experts and thought leaders to address one of the most critical components of sustainable food system, soil health and fertilizer use. We aim to explore actionable strategies and share lessons that will guide Africa's efforts in implementing this vital plan. If he is with us, it will be my pleasure to introduce the moderator for this session, Professor Mkandawere. Please, a hand for him. Professor Mkandawere brings extensive experience and deep insights into agricultural policy and development in Africa. He will guide us through this important discussion. I would also like to acknowledge the rapporteurs for this session, Dr. Iredele Ogunbayo from PILAF and Mr. John Olwande from Tegemeo Institute. They will ensure that key points and takeaways from this session are accurately captured for further reflection and action. Professor Mkandawere, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for those introductory remarks. Thank you, much appreciated for the introductory remarks. This is a very exciting session. It is a session that we would like to make sure that it continues to be sustained. It's about having discussions on how we take forward this big continental agenda that came out of the summit of the heads of state and government when they met in Nairobi in May this year on fertilizer and soil health, where an action plan was actually, prepared and presented, as well as decisions by the heads of state and government were presented. And indeed, in addition to that, there was the Soil Health Initiative for Africa endorsed. And there are processes now in the pipeline to move towards implementation of the Soil Health Initiative for Africa. And I'm delighted that we have in our midst the Commissioner, Her Excellency, Ambassador Josephus Sako, who is a Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Economy, and Blue Economy. She's with us, and she's been very central to this process around driving this new focus on fertilizer and soil health. And we would like to welcome her to give us her opening remarks for this particular session. Because in our view, I think it is one of those sessions that will drive the future of the comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program as we move towards the post-Malabo decisions for the next 10 years. So allow me, without further ado, and welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Josephus Sako, the Commissioner for the African Union, Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy, and Sustainable Environment. Your Excellency, would like to welcome you to give us the opening remarks.
Thank you, the director of the ceremonies, my dear brother professor, for giving me the floor. Good afternoon, every one of you. Bonjour à vous tous. Bon dia, boas tardes. The rest I don't know. Let me first of all try to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Damas Philippe, ANAPRI's board chair. I would also like to recognize the presence of Dr. Anthony Chaputu, the executive director of ANAPRI, distinguished aide of delegations, esteemed members of ANAPRI, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly observed. Good afternoon to you all. It is a privilege to address this high-level panel discussion on the domestication and implementation of the fertilizer and the soil health action plan. I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the organizers of this session and the wider 11th ANAPRI Stakeholders Conference for providing the vital platform for the dialogue. We are all aware that this year we organized a summit on fertilizer and soil health in Nairobi. And the way we are really speeding with operationalizing this important tool, which is the framework, a policy framework, it's really commendable. We know what is the situation on the continent. We know the issue of food insecurity and food and nutrition insecurity on our continent. And we cannot allow to just stay idle without taking proper decision on actions on what we want. This type of gathering, from my 8 years experience as a commissioner, we've been doing it a lot, but time is no longer for just meeting. Time is no longer to do things as usual. We need to change the narrative, and the narrative is action. How can this continent, with all the endowed natural resources, cannot feed these people? You cannot be a leader and don't feed your people. You cannot be a leader and don't put your youth in school. You cannot be a leader and not have an hospital to treat your own citizen. A leader should look at the most vulnerable fringe of our population. So I also like to extend my appreciation to our hosts here in Dakar, Senegal, for their warm hospitality since our arrival in this beautiful city of Senegal, or Dakar. As we come together to discuss the domestication of the AFSHAP, I want to highlight the crucial role that fertilizer and soil health in transforming African agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of our continent, sustaining the livelihood of millions and significant contributing to economic development. We know that 70% of our population are rural, and this is the most important sector that we can provide jobs and also have a socio-economic transformation on the continent so that we can be food secure on the continent and we can reduce poverty and employment of our youth. So this is a very important sector that we cannot afford not to really find solution, to really gather here and think what is the way forward, what went wrong for 2 decades of implementing CADEP-Malabo Declaration. However, as we all know, our soil are under stress, fertilizer use efficiency remain low, and the necessary policy framework to tackle this challenge have not always resulted in action. That's why today's meeting is very important for us, because we have an institution who is ANAPRI that has a mandate for policy. So let us really leverage this institution so that we can have proper policies on the access to fertilizer to all, mostly our small-scale farmers. Not just fertilizer, what type of fertilizer? That's why this Nairobi Declaration is different from Abuja Declaration. Abuja, we're just looking for fertilizer. Here, we came to look at our soil health. What type of fertilizer can we give to our farmers to use? Is it nitrogen? Is it a potassium? So we need to know what is the deficiency, nutrient deficiency of each soil, and map all of this so that we can really work clearly with our farmers. So it is very important this exercise that we are here. However, as we all know, this year's African Fertilizer and the Soil Health Summit held in Nairobi was the landmark moment for the continent. The summit reaffirmed the critical importance of addressing soil degradation and inefficiency in fertilizers use. The Nairobi Declaration that emerged from this gathering outlines a clear path for us to achieve sustainable agricultural productivity through the AFSHAP. I'm not very good in these acronyms. I would rather say African Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. However, the real challenge now lies in translating this vision into concrete results at the national level. At the African Union, we have done our job. That's why this is also my last meeting as a commissioner, but now let us go at the national level. It's very important because we've been passing a lot of decisions, but it doesn't reflect at the national level. Even if you go and ask majority of our people, what is Agenda 2063? Our own countries, member states, they are not really popularizing this important policy that we have, this important strategy for the transformation of our continent. So that is why it is very important that this mechanism should be working directly with member states. Leave African Union alone. African Union, through my department, what we have as a duty is monitoring and evaluation. The other one, each one has his own rule in all this conversation, in this tool that our head of state approve. We should know what is our mandate and do what we have to do in all this pillar of the 10 years action plan of the soil, fertilizer and the soil health for our continent. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take much time because we have, that's why at times I like to read, I don't like to talk like this, because we still have another opening ceremony, so let me just speed up. The focus of this session on the domestication and implementation of the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan could not be more timely. The African Union has consistently advocated for a localized, inclusive approach to development. The success of the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan relies on the ability of national governments, research institutions, private sector actors, and development partners to collaborate in translating this comprehensive strategy into action on the ground. Domestication is not merely about adopting a framework, it is about adapting to the local reality or the local context. This requires strong political will, well-coordinated partnership. I'm happy that some partners are here with us to navigate this issue with us. Then coordinate a good coordination with partnership. And our partnership, we are not just talking about our partnership, the development partnership. We are talking also our private sector in Africa. We have this potential. We have private sector, which also look at them and bring them along, engage with them so that we can have proper results. Private sector and development partner to collaborate in translating this comprehensive strategy into action on the ground. Domestication is merely about adopting a framework. It is about is not adopting a framework, but adapting it to local reality. This requires strong political will, well-coordinated partnership, and adequate resources. We'll be talking for all our programs about resources, about how even when we look at what we're just coming back from Baku, we did not achieve our objective, but we know that if we give resources, if we mobilize, invest in these areas, we will get a solution. Without it, we just have those papers on the shelves of our offices and nothing is happening. So I think it's very important we should really focus on how to mobilize a proper mechanism to mobilize resources to implement all these decisions. The policy and advocacy pillar of the AFSHAP is particularly significant in this regard. This pillar acknowledges that establishing an enabling policy environment is fundamental for scaling up soil health initiative and ensuring that sustainable fertilizer use becomes the norm across the continent. To achieve this, we must foster deeper collaboration among stakeholders, utilize local resources, and enhance the capacity of local institutions to lead the way. Distinguished guests, I would like also to emphasize the importance of partnership in our effort to improve soil health and fertilizer use, the role of the private sector is crucial. By collaborating with African research institutions and governments, private sector can help strengthen value chain, improve access to input, and drive innovation and sustainable agricultural practices. Ladies and gentlemen, the stake not only be higher, improving soil health and fertilizer use is not merely a technical challenge. It is a cornerstone of our effort to achieve food security, reduce poverty, and build resilience against climate change. The success of the AFSHAP will determine the trajectory of our agricultural system and their capacity to meet the growing needs of our population. On behalf of the African Union Commission, I reaffirm our commitment to supporting the domestication and implementation of the AFSHAP. Let this discussion act as a catalyst for action, providing the insight and partnership necessary to transform this ambitious plan into a reality for African agriculture. As we engage in dialogue, I want to stress the importance of certain principles for progress. The first is partnership, working together and leave no one behind. The second principle is effective collaboration, engaging with national partners in the member countries. We will not do it for them, rather we will support and backstop them to pursue their national interests. This encapsulates the growing mantra of an African-owned and Africa-led process. I look forward to the outcome of this session and to witnessing how the collective expertise in this room can drive the change we seek. Together, let us strive for a future where African soil are healthy, its farmers are empowered, and its agricultural system are resilient and sustainable. So I thank you very much for your kind attention. Muito obrigada pela vossa atenção. Muitas gracias. Shukran. Asante sana. Thank you. I don't know how to say.
Thank you very much, Madam Commissioner. I think you have laid a very good ground for the next session, which will commence shortly, of our panelists. I think, some of the issues that you're raising really have been part of the conversation over the past 2 years. With ourselves as experts working in this space, and indeed with yourself. And we're delighted that you're committed to this agenda of localization, African-led, and we're also delighted that you're also putting emphasis on the need for partnerships, the need for building this coalition of the willing to be part of this movement. Some of us are calling it a movement, because unless we really come to a common understanding that this is a continental priority, it's one of our national priorities to restore our soils, we're not going to make any move on the transformation of our food systems. So we need a coalition, and I'm delighted. I think there's a very good representation in this audience from the Global North. We have a number of institutions, including some of the potential donors who are gathered here. They're part of this movement. And we trust that this movement will take us far. But you have also talked about resource mobilization, an issue that was raised by my sister, Nalisheo, earlier on. Resource mobilization is going to be critical. Issues of capacity strengthening are going to be critical. These are critical issues that we need to put on the table right now. but more importantly, it's about sustaining this conversation and raising the necessary awareness for our governments, and of course ensuring that we have, people like yourself, Madam Commissioner, who are an important continental voice. How do you stand up, as we move forward into the future? In the next 10 years of CADAP, how do we move this agenda forward? I think all of us are agreed that you will remain a very important voice going into the future. So we appreciate for these opening remarks, and I'm delighted now to call upon the coalition of partners that have been part of this process for the past almost 2 years of working on this agenda on soil health and fertilizer, agenda for Africa, and moving into the future. So allow me, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, to call upon this high-level panel for discussions. In the next 10 minutes, we'll be having that discussion. And these high-level individuals include Dr. Ndeye Helen, the advisor to the Minister of Agriculture and Agriculture Sovereignty and Livestock from the Republic of Senegal. Please come and take your place. Sorry, my apologies. We have a keynote first. Madam Ndeye, forgive me. I think you can take a seat for now. I mean, the panel come later. We have a keynote from the research director of ANAPRI, Dr. Tinashe Kapuya. He will make a keynote presentation that aims to provide the audience with an overview of the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan and emphasizing the role of policy. And I'm sure in that conversation he will touch on some of the issues which Her Excellency raised. We're delighted to call upon you, Dr. Tinashe, to come forward and give us that keynote address.
Thank you, moderator. In the interest of time, I had 30 minutes to do this presentation, but I now have 10. So summarizing it is going to be a Herculean task, which I hope I can achieve. It will take a lot of effort because the slides are many, but I will try to get to the core of our message. Now, Her Excellency, Madam Commissioner Sako had already, I think, done a pretty fairly good job of preempting some of the things that I was going to say, so it makes my job quite easier. I have 3 key messages, which I hope that we can take away from our conversation this afternoon. The first is that the summit where we got the resolutions around the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan, they present us with a unique opportunity, an opportunity for us to present and forge partnerships that enable locally driven and locally led country action plans. So it goes to the heart of the issue of localization and the issue of institutional capacity building for our local partners. That segues into the second point. The minute we talk about locally led solutions, we begin to talk about the issue of adoption and implementation, but that requires very strong local institutions. And to have strong local institutions, you need to invest in them. And therefore, it brings the key important point of building the institutional capacity of local institutions. The third point, if we could go back again, is that this investment has to come through the support of governments, development partners and donors, and other ecosystem actors who we can work with as local institutions. So those are the three key takeaway messages that I wish that we can all walk away with after this session. Now, I'm not sure where I have to point. At the screen, okay. Now, just as a brief note, the action plan is basically a 10-year continental strategy. And it's a guiding framework for countries to customize, adapt, domesticate, and implement. And then through the alignment of different policies, programs, and initiatives, as well as policies, we can call them roadmaps, you can call them action plans, but this is the diction that they typically use when you're trying to talk about domesticating a continental action plan. Of course, the action plan covers not just mineral fertilizers. As Madam Commissioner said, the issue of soil health goes beyond just mineral fertilizers. It goes into organic fertilizers as well. Now, I had a lot of... the pointer is not working. Is it? Oh, there you go. Let me go to this part of the slide. The action plan is 4 outcome areas, right? And the 4 outcome areas involve investments in policies, finance and markets. That's outcome 1. Outcome 2 focuses on a number of on issues around accessibility and affordability of fertilizers, both organic and inorganic. The third outcome area focuses on fertilizer use efficiency and sustainability of the use of fertilizers. And then outcome 4 is all about, I think, capacity building, enhancing the capacity for us to sustainably use these fertilizers. Now, the issue is, what is ANAPRI's role across these 4 outcome areas? And I think Prof. Nkandawire had already mentioned that there's already a coalition of actors that is essentially trying to drive this work. If only this cursor can work. They said I should point to the screen. Let me go to that slide. The coalition. So there are a number of areas where we have seen coalitions, but there's this coalition of implementers. I'm going to let this conversation be driven by one of our panelists who is actually leading that coalition. But the point that I want to make is to just underscore the issue around partnerships to drive this particular policy area, right? There's a recognition that a lot of people are in this space, and we need to align our efforts. We need to partner. We need to make sure that everybody's pulling in the same direction. So Larry, I'm going to let you speak about it a little bit more. Here we were trying to motivate the issue around ANAPRI's involvement across different outcome areas, right? So the issue here is ANAPRI is one of several coalition partners, and we are trying to drive the issue, policy and advocacy coalition. And under that coalition, we are working together with the likes of MSU, FANAPAN, we have AUDA NEPAD in there as well, CARDESA, and a number of other institutions, IFPRI. And one of the ways that we have decided to support, or where we see our role as ANAPRI, is primarily we want to provide data and evidence and analysis. But there's also a number of areas where we see value. I'm going to probably just go a few slides there to just show you where we actually think we can go beyond just data and evidence to perform areas of driving the adoption of digital tools, for instance. We know that there are different tools that have to be used by farmers in order to understand and to manage soil nutrient cases and to ensure that there is sustainable farming out there. So it's not just going to be us doing data analysis, it's us trying to convene stakeholders, trying to share that knowledge, trying to promote the use of various tools that can enable farmers to practice sustainable soil nutrient management. So that's just an example. I'm just going to ask the moderator to remind me when I'm running out of time. The slide is not moving as well. So at national level, we did go around soon after the summit. That was back in May. We said to all ANAPRI members, where do you see your role in the fertilizer and soil health action plan? How do you think you will fit into the bigger picture in order to ensure that you play a leading role in domestication of the Continental Action Plan at country level? And a few of our centers came back and they gave us different responses. A lot of what our centers would want, I'm just giving illustrative examples here across different countries. For instance, in Tanzania, they are seeing themselves as primarily data and evidence analysts, and I'm talking of Sokoine now, Sokoine University of Agriculture, who are an ANAPRI member. Not only do they see themselves as evidence and data providers, there's an issue around, forming some form of dedicated desk or secretariat that can drive this agenda at country level. We know that there are various platforms that are already existent in some of these countries, and the idea is not to necessarily duplicate them, but to form a dedicated focus and attention to fertilizer and soil health issues. So our centers see a role in there based on some of the work that we have already done, by the way. We have done some good work across several countries where we are trying to support the creation or the development of roadmaps, and Sokoine was part of that effort. And PILAF, they have been doing some tremendous work around fertilizer and soil health. Prof. Adekoya and his team, Iredele, a lot of times when I try to call Iredele, he's talking to me about his trips to Abuja, where he's trying to drive the soil health issues. I think Pilaf had mentioned that they see themselves as playing a coordination role in a certain sense, or not just providing data and evidence, but also playing a leading role in supporting the development of the roadmap for Nigeria as well. Tegemeo, similar case. The challenges vary slightly, apart beyond just the issue of low productivity and poor soil health. We are looking at maybe supply chain related issues. I think the Tegemeo team has been doing some stellar work in trying to estimate the impact or the cost of the government's shift towards state-driven procurement and distribution supply chains. Just generating evidence around that is something that can inform the local partners of possible solutions to ensure that we meet aspects of outcome 1 and aspects of outcome 2 as well of the action plan. Issues around capacity building, outreach, just going out there. Centers see themselves being agents of almost like playing an extension role, conscientizing farmers, conscientizing stakeholders around what needs to be done in order to drive this agenda and promoting knowledge around soil nutrient health management. The M&E part, we have a lot of skills in our centers where they can evaluate the impact of programs and processes that are aligned to the soil health action plan as well. I'm going to go to the Malawi case where we have seen somewhat of a unique situation. The Malawi case is different in that we have seen them take a lead right out of the gate. I think straight after, before we even finished the summit, the Malawi, the Mwapata Institute had already figured certain things out with the government, and by the time we got there, we had a big meeting where Prof. Nkandawire was also master of ceremony. He led there was a delegation from government that came, and there was an acknowledgement, well, the president was there too, there was an acknowledgement that Mwapata is now the secretariat that was going to deal and handle with the soil health action issues. So if I was going to articulate the model, my slides are acting up. There's a whole map there of how everything links together, but this is just how Mwapata sees itself within the broader framework of domestic and continental coordination of the soil health action plan. I'm going to stop there because I know that I'm a little bit behind time, and I think the moderator is already hinting that I have to conclude the presentation. But yeah, for now, thank you very much, distinguished delegates, for taking your time. We can, yeah, good here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tinashe, for highlighting the need for policy actors to come together to provide some leadership in the policy space, but not in isolation from other actors, including some of the soil scientists who are here, and also the partners themselves. They need to be part of this coalition of willing partners, and I'm delighted that we have with us here an example, of course, starting with Senegal itself, with the advisor to the Minister of Agriculture and Sovereignty, as well as Livestock, Dr. Helen Ndeye. Please come and take your space here. Then also let me call upon our long-lasting partner, well known across Africa, AGRA, and AGRA is represented by Dr. Aseta Diallo. And again, AGRA has been very much part of the process over the past 2 years, and equally critical is Dr. Shami Zingore, the research director from APNI in Morocco. And then we have also a representative of the coalition of implementing partners, including the private sector, Mr. Larry Uma, acting executive director, coalition of implementers for fertilizer and soil health. Maybe if you can move closer, it seems those are the key panelists. I think let me start off with our host country, which is Senegal. One of the issues we have repeatedly, presented through this process is around localization, domestication, and Madam Commissioner has been a champion for that as well. And making sure that we have our own African institutions providing the leadership. We welcome the international community being part of this process, but through working with the local institutions. We have a policy research institute here, which is part of ANAPRI. We wanted your reflections on that. How do you see that local institute, which is hosting us here, playing a role in the domestication of the action plan for Senegal? Some reflections from you.
Thank you. Bonjour à tous. Tout protocole respecté. chers invités en vos rangs, titres et qualités, je vous adresse mes salutations. Pour répondre à la question, je dirais d'abord que la vision de Sénégal 2050 des nouvelles autorités place l'agriculture au cœur du développement économique. Et c'est dans ce sens que le ministère de l'Agriculture, de la souveraineté alimentaire et de l'élevage a un document de stratégie de souveraineté alimentaire qui est en cours de finalisation et qui donne une place prioritaire au programme de santé des sols. Santé des sols pour promouvoir la fertilité des sols, les restaurer. Et c'est dans ce cadre-là que pourraient jouer un grand rôle nos centres de recherche. Pourquoi? Parce que tout simplement, nous avons 2/3 de nos sols qui sont dégradés. Et en termes de gestion, mécanisme de gestion durable des terres, le Sénégal a opté pour un cadre national d'investissement stratégique pour la gestion durable des terres et qui cible à l'horizon 2035 la promotion d'un environnement politique, financier pour, en tout cas, la gestion durable des terres et inverser cette dégradation. Et les institutions de recherche seront à la base pour non seulement cette base productive, pour une meilleure adéquation des intrants et de leurs utilisations, mais aussi, si on veut une gestion durable, il y a lieu de connaître l'état de nos sols. L'Institut sénégalais de recherche agricole a donc fait partie, le BAM, a déjà commencé avec l'établissement, avec l'aide de l'AFDC, l'établissement de cartes de fertilité des sols. Certes, il reste des étapes à accomplir dans la mesure où, au Sénégal, on a un problème de gestion partielle des données et il y a lieu de plus vulgariser, de plus disséminer, de plus partager ces connaissances, mais aussi que ça soit disponible, qu'on parle de numérisation. Donc, la recherche a vraiment un rôle majeur à jouer, mais comprend dès à présent sa place et son rôle, et je pense qu'ils vont le jouer.
Well, thank you very much. I will definitely get back to you with some follow-up questions, because one of the issues which we're keen to hear from you especially is around how, besides public institutions, how some autonomous institutions become part of driving this process. Because we know that governments are very busy, doing multiple and hundreds of other, activities. I think your reflections on how, as you advise the Honourable Minister, what role some of these semi-autonomous institutions can play a role, that's important. Yeah. An important question, which we would like to, your reflections on. You'd like to respond now? Yeah. Okay, please.
Pour cela, aussi bien l'Institut sénégalais de recherche agricole que l'Institut national de pédologie ont en charge ce développement-là, dans la mesure où le programme de santé des sols que souhaite développer le gouvernement, ce sont les co-leads de ce programme-là. Ils auront en charge non seulement la mise en place, la gestion, mais aussi la vulgarisation auprès des acteurs. Certes, il y a lieu de se dire qu'il y a des défis, dans la mesure où il y a un problème de financement pour atteindre les initiatives localisées, mais ce sont des institutions de recherche qui peuvent aller en partenariat avec les ONG et autres institutions de recherche comme Cora, FARA ou IFDC pour aller au niveau des financements. Ils peuvent faire aussi la promotion de la politique de coopérative agricole communautaire prônée par le ministre pour que les producteurs puissent s'approprier les résultats de recherche, mais aussi pouvoir bénéficier des financements collectifs dans la mesure où le résultat final est toujours la gestion durable de nos terres par une meilleure maîtrise, une meilleure connaissance et une meilleure planification.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure we will get back maybe more questions from the audience. But for now, I would like to go to Agra. Agra, you have been a major player in the food systems space for decades. We're delighted that you have been part of the process on the Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. And one of the, I think, concerns, again, I would very much hope that ANAPRI will reflect on this as well, is I think the slowness in implementation of interventions. We have the tendency to go to these summits and say, oh, well, we will implement, and it takes another 2 years, 3 years before we really move on the ground. And yet we know also that on the ground, there are some major pockets of successes out there, and yet we don't capitalize on those successes. I was wondering whether you can share with us, some of the successes that are on the ground based on the many years of Agra's work, and give us some indication of how we might take advantage of those successes to explore opportunities for scaling up, and also, of course, documenting them as well. Again, within the context of some of the work ANAPRI is doing to see whether they could actually join forces with you to document those and find ways of scaling them up. And which are these successful interventions? Where they're located? Is there an opportunity to scale them up? And maybe at the same time, you can also reflect on financing. Is there an opportunity to finance some of those successful interventions that are on the ground?
Thank you very much, Prof, for these very relevant questions. And I may say AGRA is an African organization. We have been talking a lot about African-led initiatives. AGRA is an African-led organization and farmer-centered organization. This morning we have also heard the voices of farmer organization from the southern African part, but also from the mountains of Lesotho. So it's very important. It means all what AGRA and its partners, I may say AGRA and its partners because we have donors, but we also have implementing partners. All what we are doing is really locally driven investment and context specific. We have also highlighted it since this morning, the importance of it. Locally driven, because we are taking into account the local context, the needs of these smallholder farmers, the needs of local organizations. And since its inception, AGRA has invested a lot in the soil health area, and we have been working together, Prof, you know it very well. We have strengthened capacities of farmers, of local organizations. We have worked with government where we are intervening. We have implemented these technologies which were out there but were not implemented. And true, you are saying the successes. We have a lot of technologies which have been developed, but some of them were not really implemented on the ground. These are, for example, the integrated soil fertility management technologies. And we are here with APNI expert, he will talk about the soil nutrient, and these are very important. These integrated soil fertility management are based on using the organic but also mineral fertilizers input, adding water management to it to make them very relevant. And we have implemented these technologies for many years around many countries in West, East, and Southern Africa. And we have been using approaches, farmer-facing activities. As I said, we are a farmer-centered organization. Using these approaches of demonstrations, of capacity building, of extension approaches to showcase how important these technologies are for farmers to really manage their soil health and get improved productivity, because at the end of the day, this is what we are looking for. And we have also some approaches of involving private sector, which is also very important. We have also spoken about it. Involving private sector to have relevant input. I was talking about integrated soil fertility management. You need to have appropriate input like fertilizers, organic or inorganic. And we have been working with private sector to come up with crop and site-specific fertilizer blends. The Commissioner, Her Excellency, spoke about what are the missing nutrients, what type of fertilizer we should use to improve our soil health and improve the productivity. So we have supported a number of countries to come up with specific fertilizer blend, which are crop and site specific. Even in Malawi, your own country, we have developed such fertilizer blends. We have supported a number of countries, as I said, around 7 to 8, to really develop such specific fertilizer blends. And not just only developing them, but also helping smallholder farmers to understand what are the benefits. But going forward, and as you said, working with government to showcase the relevance of such technology, such blends, and to advise, to advocate with them to use them in the subsidies program. We all know the subsidy program are very costly. If they have to invest, and many countries said they cannot move away from subsidy program. So at least they should use appropriate fertilizers to help farmers get return on their investment instead of wasting resources and just importing the one fertilizer fits all soils. So this is also another approach which worked very well, involving private sector, but at the same time advocating for government to use such appropriate technologies. And we have shown it has worked. And then building strong partnership. In doing so, we always help stakeholders to work in kind of consortia type. You have the private sector, you have the farmers using the technologies, you have the government, which are responsible of developing policies, going to policy reforms, enabling environment for private sector to also operate in the country. These are approaches which we have really implemented during the years, and it has worked. And also scaling up technology, you spoke about how to scale up. One thing is to have these technologies in some areas and demonstrate how they can work. And another thing is to really help to scale up these technologies. And you know we are in 15 countries, and we have reached around 11 million smallholder farmers. All is about also developing sound extension approaches, and I spoke about it. We are using locally based extension approaches to help scale up these technologies around smallholder farmers, at the same time demonstrating how relevant they are. In terms of financing, we know managing soil health, and if we look at the Nairobi Declaration, it will need a lot of resources, and we need to come together, as I said already, developing collaboration, developing synergies, developing strong partnership in order to mobilize resources to address all these issues. And you know AGRA is very strong in convening power and showcasing how it works and using evidence. We spoke a lot about evidence-based policies or evidence-based decision-making. So all this convening power is to help mobilize such resources to help implement the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. And we have been also working at a regional level, but more importantly at countries level to help domesticate this 10-year action plan. Let me stop here, but I can come back with specific questions. Thank you.
No, thank you, Dr. Diallo. I think this question of documentation of known successful interventions or bright spots is very critical. Very often we don't actually bring to the attention of our leaders those interventions that are working. To what extent can we actually consider this as an important area of focus to make sure that there's clear documentation and we bring to their attention those successful interventions to give confidence to our leaders that there's some pockets of successes in spite of all the challenges, but there are some pockets of successes, and then maybe explore how we scale them out. Let me get back to Dr. Shami Zingore, just to give us an indication of some of the work you're doing. This also relates to ANAPRI more broadly. The quality of data you gather on the gravity of the problem, the crisis we're confronting as a continent, as countries. To what extent have we brought to the attention of our leaders that this is a matter of emergency, because we're losing tons of nutrients every year? Have we brought that nature of information to the attention of our leaders so that they take action? And what is the gravity of the challenge that is confronting the continent? It's confronting Senegal, Malawi, Zambia. Do we have evidence to show that there's need for taking action now, not after 1 year, but now we need to take action? Do we have enough evidence? What is the evidence out there?
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. It's a great pleasure to be part of this very important conversation. And I think to put the magnitude of the problem into perspective, we are faced with a situation where close to 65% of our agricultural soils in Africa are degraded. I think we have the case of Senegal, which actually matches the continental figures. And beyond that, we continue to lose $10 billion worth of nutrients from our soils because of inadequate nutrient application. So with average losses of nutrients in the order of about 20 to 30 kgs of nutrients per year, that brings a large bill tag of about $10 billion. So I think this is the starting point, which is why it's very critical that the solutions for sustainable transformation of African agriculture starts in the soil. Because with degraded soils, with inadequate nutrient application, any other technology that is deployed to improve productivity will always fall short. And this is one big difference between the Green Revolution in Asia, which was primarily driven by seed and fertilizer, and it took off very quickly because their soils were relatively more fertile and they had less challenges with water limitations. But in the African context, we have to face up to the need to then invest in rehabilitating our soils, in building their responsive capacity, so that we can viably invest in fertilizer. So I think the evidence is stuck, it's there. We do have a lot of new technologies in digital soil mapping, for example, that's actually providing the necessary tools and frameworks that allow us to more accurately monitor and track what is happening with land degradation, for example. But I think a key limitation that we have is that a large part of this information is available at large scale, and we don't have information at sufficient granular details at the country level, at regions within countries, and also within landscape that would then inform more specific targeted investments. And that's part of what the action plan actually makes a big demand for us to be more site-specific in our recommendations. And this was the big gap we had in the first fertilizer summit, which made a provision of increasing fertilizer use from 10 kgs of nutrients to 50 kgs of nutrients, and gave a blanket figure for the whole continent without understanding the wide heterogeneity of our cropping systems, of our national targets. And I think this is one big leap forward we are doing as part of this new action plan that will help us to better target specific interventions that address the challenges. So yes, we do have a lot of information that policymakers, that investment decision can be made, but that information needs to be stepped down to more local levels where it can inform more specific investments. And then I also wanted to emphasize that we are not paying attention just at the challenge, but also at what are the innovative solutions that are needed to overcome the seemingly insurmountable problems. And I think we need to emphasize that the action plan is calling not just for mineral fertilizers, but a good balance of mineral fertilizers with organic nutrient resources that help to address the soil health aspects. And we do recognize that as we improve productivity, we also improve biomass production that help us to generate the organic matter that help us to rebuild soil organic carbon in the soil, which is a key part of soil health as well. And an important part of the solution also is understanding some of the specialized products that help us to deal with resilience to climate change. There are some specialized biostimulants and bioproducts that build resilience to moisture stress, for example. And those are all areas of innovation where APNA has been working to come up with the right solutions that give the right tools for us to address the challenges that we are facing up to. And I think another challenge, moderator, that we also need to emphasize is that we are not just focusing on increasing productivity, but there's the whole big challenge of hidden hunger because of the low nutrient quality of the food produced. And by better managing our soils with the right fertilizer products, with the right soil health improving products, we can translate soil health into plant health, into animal health and human health as well, and a large part of producing nutritious food that address not just the calories, but also the vitamins as well as the micronutrients that are needed for ensuring human health. And I think that's one key message that needs to be put forward to policies about the importance of maintaining soil health, having management systems of the right fertilizer solutions that also improve the nutritional value of the food produced. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shami. I think that's well taken. Probably a big message to ANAPRI is gathering that evidence and demonstrating the gravity of the crisis in every country, including Senegal. We understand there's a crisis, soil health crisis here. How do we gather that data and bring it to the attention of the leadership, including members of parliament? So this question of advocacy and engaging those members of parliament on the gravity of the problem and looking for those solutions will become, I think, important going forward. Let me turn to Larry. You're really part of this coalition of implementers, and this includes some of the CG centers And there's always been a concern that, CG centers and some of these global institutions, including IFDC, they tend to work in isolation from local partners. They don't engage. They come into a country and they introduce their own agendas, their own small interventions. How is this going to be different this time around within the context of this coalition of implementing partners? What are the plans to engage these local institutions, ANAPRI institutions, and the NARIs as well at the country level? Your thoughts, please.
Thank you so much, Prof. Let me start by introducing our coalition. We have one CG member, which is IITA, that's represented by the Excellence in Agronomy Project, and they represent the CG centers in the coalition. But the other three partners, or the other three partner organizations, the African Plant Nutrition Institute, APNI, the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, FARA, and the International Fertilizer Development Center, IFDC. We are very clear within the coalition that it cannot be business as usual. The whole concept of localization is a concept that the coalition has accepted as extremely paramount and important. And even in the early interactions that we have had, the events we have hosted, we have demonstrated the recognition of the principle of localization, but we've also extended hands of fellowship and partnership and engaged with organizations such as AGRA. We hosted a roundtable in Kigali in September. AGRA is not a member of our coalition yet, but we collaborated with AGRA and hosted a roundtable where we discussed, we brought people from everywhere to discuss the implementation of the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. Now, we have amongst all four organizations several decades of collective experience around research, innovation, but we also recognize that we cannot do this alone. We have worked on this continent for many years, but we also recognize that there are talents and there's capacity within the continent. What is missing and what we as a coalition is determined to do this time around is to be intentional about capacity strengthening. And I've deliberately used the words capacity strengthening and not capacity building. And I hope it is not one of the 30 words in my sister's list. Because we believe that if we work with the national ecosystems, it becomes a lot easier for us to pursue that ambition around sustainability. It makes it a lot easier for us to have that ownership that we believe is required. We also believe that we have lots of technical experience that we can share, but we're also eager to learn as well. The other point to note is we're already implementing projects in many of these countries. So we are part and parcel, well, I'm talking about our 4 member organizations, are part and parcel of the ecosystem here. You may have heard some of our organizations being mentioned by our colleagues here. But we also believe that because we are now moving towards the implementation of the action plan, Our Excellency, Madam Commissioner, has said it cannot be business as usual. What that means is, as a coalition, we need to now say, okay, what do we do as member organizations in supporting national governments to implement? How do we support them? Where are the skill gaps? Where are the areas? We supported the operationalization of the West African hub. That hub, in the last 2 months, has actually been going around to the 16 member countries. asking them, what exactly do you need to do to domesticate the action plan? Where is your need? What needs do you have? And how can we, as a coalition, support you, working, of course, with various partners here? The last point I would like to raise, Prof, is around the issue of resource mobilization. All 4 member organizations of our coalition have tremendous experience in resource mobilization. We believe that we could bring some of those experience working with the research systems members of ANAPRI here to begin to figure out how exactly can we work together to raise the funds that is required. Because we talk about African-owned, we talk about African-led, we never talk about African-funded. And I hope that one of the things that we will be doing in collaboration with this group here will be, what are those innovative ways of actually raising the required funds from within our continent itself, and not necessarily, and not only depend on international donors. So it's not going to be business as usual. We are open to collaboration. We are clear in our minds. Our focus is to support the implementation. And we know that there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done around the research, around innovation, around resuscitating the African Center for Fertilizer Development, which was listed in the Nairobi Declaration. There's a lot of work to be done around ensuring that we're able to strengthen the skills gap that may exist, and our coalition is open and ready for that.
No, thank you very much, Larry. I'm delighted that this issue of financing is recurring all the time, because and we, as thought leaders in the policy space, we need really to challenge the status quo. We cannot continue to allow our governments to get excited because the donors out there have given us 200 million. What is $200 million? It's a drop in the sea of the needs in the restoration of soil health. In any case, the donors are, fatigued. We need to find mechanisms of mobilizing domestic resources. And I would like to put to you, Madam Advisor, we should start with Senegal. We should start in Senegal because you have been leaders in defining some of these homegrown thought processes with your negritude from Leopold Senghor, very homegrown thoughts. That's where we need to get to. How can we, begin to look for domestic resource mobilizations, and what mechanism? What about some levy? Can we challenge our, institutes to really look at mechanisms, maybe providing some levy around, purchase of fuel? Let's negotiate for that. We need a concept note from you as a, policy analyst, maybe to work with the coalition of partners, to work with other partners, IFPRI and others, Michigan State University. We work on a concept note on how do we mobilize domestic resources? Because that's the big elephant in the room. We can talk forever about these challenges, but with no money on the table, because we don't need money from donors, $200 million. That's nothing. It's not going, it will come, but it's nothing. When we're driving the Qatar process, our leaders got excited because we were given $300 million. For God's sake, $300 million is not going to transform Africa. We need billions of dollars, and we can mobilize those resources within Africa. Let's find, innovative ways of mobilizing those resources. I think this is actually the big elephant in the room. We need to address that, through our collective thinking, starting with our own think tanks and working with like-minded global institutions to find ways of mobilizing those resources. It's going to be absolutely critical. I think there might be some questions perhaps from the audience, one or two. I know that the Honorable Minister is about to get ready. They've just gone out for a few minutes, but he is actually available to make an official statement in opening the conference. So we can get one or two questions.
Yeah, we
from
have
the
10
audience.
minutes.
We have 10 minutes. That's a bit of time. Okay. Maybe we can have maybe 3, 4 questions.
Yes, it's a drum quest with Cardesa again. Thank you very much for this very enlightening panel. I was particularly interested by this panel because Cardesa has been mandated by SADC to create a Southern African soil blah 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 hub, and we expect a lot to take from your experience on the Western African hub to help us designing this. I had 2 questions about items that were not that I would like to get more information about. One is we've been talking about soil health and fertilizers. In my mind, I'm not an agronomist, I'm a sociologist. Fertilizers are like kind of vitamins and medicine. But when you refer to soil health, health means also having good practices to stay healthy. And in agronomy, some call that agroecological practices, like having plants that can regenerate fertility and so on. So you don't need medicine because you're healthy because of your practices. So one question was about for Agra, if you had some feedback to give us on agroecological extension on the field. Second question was more for the coalition of implementers. How do you see the role of national universities, national research centers, who are already funded, so we don't need money for them because the research are already paid and they're already working in the field locally. So how do you see how we could get them to get into the driver's seat and be effectively African universities-led initiative, national research centers-led initiatives within this hub, if you had some feedback and experiences to share.
Another question?
Question right here, in front.
Merci beaucoup. Je suis Elhadj Thierno Cissé, le coordinateur du CNCR. Le CNCR, c'est la plus grande plateforme paysanne au Sénégal. La question que je pose, c'est quelle est la relation entre cette plateforme et la plateforme continentale des mouvements paysans, la PAFO. Ça, c'est une première question. Une deuxième question sur cette problématique des engrais bio. Le défi que je perçois, c'est comment la recherche, en tout cas les recherches au niveau national, peuvent accompagner nos États à atteindre une certaine souveraineté. Parce que la tendance actuelle va dans la même direction que les engrais chimiques. On a l'impression que si on ne fait pas attention, c'est des multinationales qui vont s'approprier encore ces nouvelles technologies. Et je me dis en ce moment quelle est l'utilité d'avoir une recherche dans nos pays. Donc, quelle stratégie on peut mettre en place entre les institutions de recherche, les organisations paysannes qui sont organisées, qui sont dans des filières, pour que vraiment cette appropriation en tout cas cette nouvelle orientation se fait dans les pays. Voilà les questions. Merci.
If we can have some quick responses to those questions, agroecology, on how we support national agriculture research institutes, as well as we've only 4 minutes before the Honorable Minister comes in. So if I can give maybe each one of you a minute just to respond to those questions before we allow the Minister to come in.
Okay, very quick response to the questions about what will be the role of national universities and research centers. I'm very delighted to hear that you think they don't really. That makes our lives so much easier. But certainly, we know that there are opportunities. If we look at the outcomes 4 of this action plan, especially when you look at the outputs 4.1, there's an opportunity to be able to assist, and this group in this room could actually work with national governments, work with the various partners, various coalitions, to, one, for example, assist universities to develop contemporary curriculum on fertilizer science, soil health, agronomy, and all of that. There's also an opportunity to establish an ecosystem of R&D institutions to exchange knowledge and ideas and build what I may call a synergistic R&D agenda. There are also opportunities to be able to identify and incorporate fertilizer and soil health related courses in the curricula of tertiary institutions. There's a lot, but these conversations you need to have those conversations right now at the beginning when the domestication of the fertilizer and soil health action plans are being incorporated into national systems, into your national development plans. Let me stop there.
Yes, thank you. We are happy we are part of the SADC process, and we are working closely with Sekadesa in going through the process of setting up the regional hub for this part of the continent. And you are right, this time around, as Shemi said and other panelists said, this time around is not only around fertilizer, but it's around soil health in a broader way, in a holistic manner. And yes, you are asking AGRA, we have been working a lot in other technologies, not just promoting fertilizer, but also other technologies like crop diversification, crop rotation, and also combining agriculture and livestock areas and regenerative agriculture. We have done a lot in Kenya, we have done a lot in Burkina Faso, Mali. We're also using agroforestry technologies. So it's not just promoting fertilizer, but we are also doing other technology, because what we are saying is a context specific. Depending on the country, depending on the area, it's for the local population or the local organization, institution, to see what are the best technologies they can take up and implement to help really manage their soil health. And as Shemi said, it's also related to plant health, but also to people's health. And now responding to the one from Sénégal here, je pense que vous avez raison, et dans tout le processus, nous savons que sur le continent, nous avons des ressources pour vraiment produire les engrais de qualité. Et dans beaucoup de pays, actuellement, le processus est en cours pour utiliser les ressources locales pour voir comment est-ce qu'on peut aider à produire. Mais cela demande beaucoup d'investissement. Et c'est là aussi nous devrons y travailler. Thank you.
I think we have the Honourable Minister.
A heartfelt thanks as well to Professor Mkandawere and all our esteemed panelists for leading such a rich and insightful discussion on the Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. We will now start the official opening of the 11th ANAPRI Stakeholder Conference under the theme From Policy to Practice, Strengthening Local Institutions for Sustainable Food Systems Transformation in Africa. Excellencies, distinguished dignitaries, honored guests, and stakeholders, good afternoon. It is a privilege to welcome you all to this official opening ceremony of the 11th annual ANAPRI Stakeholders Conference here in the Hôtel Azalai, Dakar, Senegal. We are deeply honored to have with us today esteemed dignitaries, including the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Food Sovereignty, and Livestock, Mr. Mabouba Diagne. Give a hand, please. To commence this ceremony, we will now listen to the national anthem of Senegal, followed by the African Union anthem. Please rise from the anthem. Avec la complicité de la régie. Avec la complicité de la régie. Thank you. Today marks the pivotal moment as we focus on from policy to practice, strengthening local institutions for sustainable food systems transformation in Africa. This conference is a testament to Africa's dedication to leading transformative agriculture policy and building resilience across our food systems. I now invite the Executive Director of ANAPRI, Dr. Anthony Chapoto, to take the floor and moderate this opening session. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you very much. It is my privilege and honor to moderate this session. Our minister has a commitment at 17 hours, so we will try by all means to manage time. Let me invite my board chair and take this seat, please. Can you come up front? And also let me have my brother Mustafa, the DG for ISRA, to take this seat. And let me also invite my honorable minister, Mafuba, to take this seat. And then let me invite honorable minister. Last but not least, let me invite the host, Madam Asu, to take the seat at the end. It is my pleasure as the Executive Director of the ANAPRI Secretariat to have their excellencies to grace our meeting. We really pleasure the support of our leaders. The work that we do in policy is very key, and with support from our leaders, it makes it much easier. Without further ado, let me invite my chair, board chair, to come and provide some opening remarks. Then I will invite my DG, Mustafa, to come and say a few remarks. And then after that, we have Ambassador Sako to give remarks, and then our Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Dear conference participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In the interest of time, I will stand on the protocol which has been used by the previous speakers. And on behalf of the ANAPRI Board of Directors, it is my honor and a privilege to be part of the 11th Annual ANAPRI Stakeholders Conference, and to thank you for your interest in our work. And I would also like to thank ISRA-BAM, our center here in Senegal, for accepting to host this important event for our network. Over the past few years, we have seen our network evolve into a network of interest to many organizations within the continent and beyond the African continent. And the growth of our network has led to, among other things, a change in our name from the former name, which was RENAPRI, which had a regional focus, to the current name, ANAPRI, which provides a better reflection of what we are doing now. We have expanded our coverage to cover a substantial part of the African continent. That is why last year, we decided to change our name from RENAPRI to ANAPRI in order to reflect this reality. This is the first annual conference since we changed our name from RENAPRI to ANAPRI. And looking at the participants at this event, I have no doubts whatsoever that our network is doing justice to our new label, ANAPRI. We are a real African institution. I'm certain that ANAPRI will continue to cement its position as Africa's go-to think tank as our network continues to produce high-quality evidence needed to support agricultural research and development in Africa, and essentially in the vein of generating African solutions to address African problems. This year, our conference, this year the theme of our conference is From Policy to Practice, Strengthening Local Institutions for Sustainable Food Systems Transformation in Africa. Strengthening local institutions is crucial for ensuring enhanced ability for the continent to generate solutions required to address African continent problems. I take this opportunity to warmly welcome all participants to the 11th Annual Stakeholders Conference of our network, ANAPRI, that is, here in Senegal. I understand that in addition to us who are participating physically here in Dakar, there are other participants from various countries across Africa and outside Africa who will be participating visually. I also take this opportunity to welcome them to our conference. And may the deliberations during the conference generate outputs which will drive a sustained food security agenda on the continent of Africa, especially in this era where the world continues to face uncertainties related to national conflicts and climate change, which, among other things, disrupt food and agricultural global supply chains. I urge all of us to participate actively in this three-day conference. And after saying that, I would like to take this opportunity also to thank you very much for your kind attention to my brief welcoming remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. We are pleased to be here. And without further ado, let me invite the Director General of ISRA to also welcome us into Senegal.
In French, we say Antoine. In French. Your Senegalese name is Antoine. Monsieur le ministre de l'Agriculture, de la Souveraineté alimentaire et de l'Élevage, je voudrais exprimer mes sincères remerciements et ma gratitude à chaque fois que nous avons des rencontres de haut niveau. Malgré son calendrier très chargé, il continue à nous appuyer et à nous accompagner. Et je voudrais en ce moment solennel vraiment témoigner toute ma gratitude pour ce privilège qu'il nous fait à chaque fois que nous organisons de grands événements, aussi bien dans le pays et dans la sous-région. Merci, Monsieur le ministre. Monsieur le Président du Conseil d'administration de l'ANAPRI, Mesdames, Messieurs les représentants des partenaires techniques et financiers, Mesdames, Messieurs les chefs de délégation qui sont membres du réseau ANAPRI, chers invités, Mesdames, Messieurs, en vos grades, rangs, titres, tout protocole respecté. C'est un grand honneur pour moi que je m'adresse à vous à l'occasion de cette 11e rencontre du réseau africain des instituts de recherche sur les politiques agricoles, ANAPRI en anglais. Je tiens à vous souhaiter la bienvenue dans notre pays, pays de la Teranga. Teranga means welcoming. It's a welcoming country. À ma qualité de directeur général de l'Institut sénégalais de recherche agricole, institut hôte de cette conférence, je tiens également à exprimer ma profonde gratitude à ANAPRI pour avoir choisi cette belle ville de Dakar pour abriter la 11e session de leur réseau. Cette conférence se tient à un moment où les systèmes alimentaires mondiaux sont confrontés à des défis importants, tels que la croissance démographique, le changement climatique, la perte de biodiversité, les inégalités socio-économiques, les tensions sécuritaires géopolitiques et surtout les perturbations des chaînes d'approvisionnement. Tous ces défis intensifient l'insécurité alimentaire et les inégalités à travers le continent africain. Le thème de cette rencontre, qui porte sur de la politique à l'action, renforcer les institutions locales pour une transformation durable des systèmes alimentaires en Afrique, met en exergue le besoin de traduire les résultats de recherche en politique susceptibles de transformer l'agriculture africaine, mais aussi améliorer les conditions de vie de ceux qui en dépendent, mais aussi celles de l'ensemble de la population africaine qui est évaluée à 1,515 milliard d'habitants en 2024. Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs, l'agriculture occupe une place centrale dans nos sociétés, tant du point de vue économique, social qu'environnemental. En effet, les activités agricoles constituent encore le moyen de subsistance de près de 60% de la population du continent, et surtout la population active, et représentent de ce fait 17% de la totalité du produit intérieur brut et 40% de ses recettes en devises étrangères. Cependant, face à ces défis globaux, de plus en plus complexes, les politiques agricoles doivent évoluer pour répondre à ces nouvelles exigences. Ces politiques qui affectent directement le quotidien de millions de personnes à travers le monde, en particulier en Afrique, ne peuvent être conçues et mises en œuvre sans une compréhension approfondie des enjeux sous-jacents. C'est là qu'intervient la recherche. En effet, la recherche fournit des analyses, les données et les outils nécessaires pour une prise de décision éclairée. Cependant, nous constatons que malgré les nombreuses avancées de la recherche en sciences sociales, économiques et environnementales et agronomiques, un écart persiste parfois entre les résultats et les décisions politiques. Et ça, c'est extrêmement important. Cette conférence, je n'en doute pas, devra permettre de combler cet écart en explorant les façons ou la façon dont les connaissances issues de nos recherches peuvent mieux éclairer, mais surtout orienter le choix des décideurs politiques. Dès lors, certaines questions méritent d'être posées, à savoir, comment la science peut-elle soutenir la formulation de politiques agricoles plus efficaces et surtout plus durables? Deuxièmement, comment garantir que la recherche ne se limitant pas à une seule théorie, mais qu'elle trouve des applications concrètes sur le terrain, là où les impacts sont réels? Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs, tout au long de ces journées, nous aurons l'opportunité d'entendre des experts, des chercheurs, des décideurs, mais également des praticiens, qui partageront leur expérience, leurs analyses et leurs recommandations par rapport à ces questions. Notre présence ici traduit notre volonté de mener des recherches à fort impact. Et la direction de notre institut, l'ISRA, accordera une oreille attentive aux recommandations et conclusions qui seront issues de cette importante rencontre. Je vous invite donc à saisir cette occasion pour échanger, mais débattre et surtout réfléchir ensemble aux meilleures stratégies pour transformer les connaissances en action et répondre aux défis agricoles du XXIe siècle. Je voudrais vous remercier pour votre aimable attention et vous souhaite des échanges fructueux et très riches. Merci de votre attention.
Thank you very much, DG. We are really grateful. I've felt the hospitality ever since I got into Senegal, so I have no question about it. Let me take this opportunity to invite Her Excellency Ambassador Joseph Asako to come and give some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, the Master of Ceremony, Dr. Anthony. In the interest of time, let me stand on the existing protocol, but I will also like to take this opportunity to thank Honorable Dr. Mabouba Diagne, Minister of Agriculture, Food Sovereignty and Livestock of the Republic of Senegal, for gracing our event with your physical presence, and for the political commitment of the Republic of Senegal for the integration agenda of our continent, which is Agenda 2063. We want to work all together, the Africa we all want. C'est pour moi un grand honneur, c'est un grand honneur pour moi de m'adresser aujourd'hui à cette importante assemblée à l'occasion de la cérémonie d'ouverture de la 11e conférence de parties prenantes de l'ANAPRI. Je remercie sincèrement les organisateurs et en particulier le réseau africain des instituts de recherche sur les politiques agricoles ANAPRI et l'institution hôte Isra Bame d'avoir organisé ces forums dans la belle et dynamique ville de Dakar au Sénégal. Je vous transmets également les salutations chaleureuses de son Excellence Moussa Faki Mahamat, le président de la Commission de l'Union africaine, qui adresse ses remerciements à son Excellence Bassirou Diomaye Faye, président de la République du Sénégal. C'est sur ce, je remercie également notre hôte, le Sénégal, pour la chaleureuse hospitalité dont nous avons tous bénéficié depuis notre arrivée. Le thème de cette année, de la politique à la pratique. J'adore ce thème. Je suis une femme, j'aime pas le discours, j'aime la pratique et j'aime vraiment le résultat. Renforcer les institutions locales pour une transformation durable des systèmes alimentaires en Afrique est à la fois opportun et profond. Je souligne la nécessité urgente de transformer les politiques et les cadres ambitieux que nous avons collectivement élaborés en résultats tangibles, susceptibles de transformer la vie de millions d'Africains, en particulier ceux qui, dont le moyen de subsistance dépend de l'agriculture. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, alors que nous sommes réunis ici aujourd'hui, il est essentiel de reconnaître que l'Afrique se trouve à un moment charnier de son parcours de développement. Au cours des deux dernières décennies, le continent a accompli le progrès louable dans l'élaboration d'une politique agricole ambitieuse et tournée vers l'avenir. Les dirigeants africains ont adopté le programme détaillé pour le développement de l'agriculture africaine, le PDDA, à Maputo en 2003. En tant que cadre politique de l'Afrique pour la transformation de l'agriculture, la création de richesses, la sécurité alimentaire et nutritionnelle, la croissance économique et la prospérité pour tous. Depuis son adoption, le PDDA a guidé les politiques, les stratégies, les investissements et les actions de l'Afrique dans le domaine de l'agriculture et de la sécurité alimentaire. Nous devons être fiers de constater que l'Afrique a donné un grand exemple au niveau mondial en tant que le seul continent qui dispose d'un cadre unifié qui traite de l'agriculture et de la sécurité alimentaire à travers ces cadres, et que beaucoup de choses ont été accomplies grâce au processus du PDDA. Cependant, le continent n'est pas en mesure d'atteindre les objectifs de Malabo d'ici 2025, c'est-à-dire l'année prochaine, et n'est pas en mesure de réaliser les objectifs clés pour mettre fin à la faim et à la malnutrition après 20 ans de mise en œuvre du PDDA. L'Afrique est confrontée à une crise alimentaire sans précédent. Des estimations récentes indiquent que près de 282 millions de personnes en Afrique étaient sous-alimentées en 2022, soit une augmentation de 57% millions de personnes depuis la pandémie de la Covid-19. Une plus grande proportion de la population africaine est confrontée à la faim par rapport aux autres régions du monde. Près de 20% de nos populations n'ont pas accès à l'alimentation. La moyenne mondiale est de 10%. Plus d'1 milliard de personnes n'ont pas le moyen d'avoir une alimentation saine. Bien que le PDDA ait fourni un cadre d'action solide, sa mise en œuvre complète a été entravée par plusieurs défis qui ont été dit par les autres orateurs ici. En particulier, la faible capacité des institutions locales à l'intégrer et à la rendre opérationnelle de manière efficace. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, les institutions locales sont l'épine dorsale de la transformation agricole. Elles sont de plus proches de la réalité du terrain et comprennent parfaitement le défi unique auquel sont confrontés nos agriculteurs, nos commerçants et nos communautés. Elles sont également le mieux placées pour veiller à ce que les politiques soient non seulement mises en œuvre, mais aussi adaptées au contexte local par un impact maximal. Le renforcement de ces institutions n'est pas seulement une nécessité technique, mais un impératif moral. Il s'agit d'instaurer la confiance, l'autonomisation de la communauté et de veiller à ce que le développement soit véritablement inclusif et durable. C'est pourquoi l'Union africaine a toujours accordé la priorité aux investissements dans la capacité institutionnelle au niveau local. Le thème de cette conférence nous invite à dépasser les rhétoriques et à nous concentrer sur les mesures concrètes. Nous devons veiller à ce que les instituts de recherche locaux, les groupes de réflexion et les organisations de la société civile soient habilités à montrer la voie et à cultiver le partenariat significatif entre le gouvernement, le secteur privé et les partenaires de développement afin d'encourager les initiatives locales. Plus important encore, nous devons garantir les ressources financières et techniques nécessaires pour maintenir cette dynamique à long terme. Dans la perspective de l'agenda post-25, nous devons nous concentrer sur l'approche locale afin de garantir que les prochaines générations de stratégies de développement soient véritablement dirigées par l'Afrique, fondées sur des données probantes et alignées sur les priorités de nos populations. Il ne s'agit pas seulement d'un défi pour le gouvernement, mais d'un appel à l'action de toutes les parties prenantes représentées ici aujourd'hui. Ensemble, transformons les politiques et les pratiques et bâtissons les institutions locales solides nécessaires pour transformer les systèmes alimentaires de l'Afrique pour la génération à venir. Excellences, Messieurs et Mesdames et Messieurs, profitons de cette conférence pour partager nos connaissances, forger les nouveaux partenariats et identifier des actions concrètes qui nous rapprocheront de notre vision commune d'une Afrique en sécurité alimentaire. Comme ce peut être la dernière fois que j'assiste à la conférence de l'ANAPRI en tant que commissaire de Darbé. Notre mandat arrive bientôt au terme, au début de l'année prochaine. Je voudrais profiter de cette occasion pour remercier l'ANAPRI et les institutions de recherche locales pour le soutien qu'ils ont apporté au cours de mes 8 années de mandat à l'Union africaine. Vous avez été au premier plan du sommet africain sur les engrais et la santé des sols qui s'est déroulé à Nairobi cette année, ainsi que de 13 groupes de chercheurs techniques qui ont apporté la contribution essentielle à l'élaboration de la stratégie et le plan d'action du PDDA pour la période 2026-2036. Ces documents, ainsi que la déclaration de Kampala sur l'avancement de de la transformation des systèmes agroalimentaires inclusifs de l'Afrique pour une croissance économique durable et une prospérité partagée ont été adoptés par le comité technique spécialisé de l'Union africaine sur l'agriculture, le développement rural, l'eau et l'environnement le 25 octobre 2014. Un sommet extraordinaire de l'Union africaine a été programmé du 9 au 11 janvier 2025 à Kampala. Je saisis cette opportunité de vous inviter tous d'y participer parce que ça sera notre plan d'action pour la transformation de l'agriculture dans notre continent. Pour abattre et finir l'orientation de la politique post-Malabo pour l'agriculture et les systèmes alimentaires africains. Au nom du président de la Commission, je souhaite vous inviter tous pour cette importante sommet extraordinaire. Je vous souhaite des délibérations fructueuses et je vous remercie de votre attention. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Shukran. Asante sana. Muitas gracias. Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Astu, can you come here, please? I would like you to invite the Minister on my behalf. You know, Astu has been so great to me. ISRABAM has really done well, so maybe let me have the honor of the Ambassador to invite the Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a great pleasure to invite His Excellency Dr. Mamoudou Dan, the Minister of Agriculture, Food Sovereignty and Livestock of the Republic of Senegal to come the floor. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for gracing our event. A hand of applause to our leader.
I don't know which language I have to speak because you have honorable coming from Angola. You have a very nice regional organizations with a very few French members, huge number of Anglophone countries, and you ask me to speak in French. It just shows the beauty of Africa. En tout cas, permettez-moi d'abord de vous dire warm welcome in our country. You cannot imagine how delighted we are as Senegalese people to have chosen our country to host your regional conference. We wish you a very good deliberation, very thoughtful deliberations, and I have absolutely no doubt under the leadership of Excellencies that I have the honor to have met in the G7 summit in Italy, to have the prelude of what's happening here. Having research to back public policy has become not only a must, but a duty for our nations. Africa is currently importing close to $35 billion to feed its people. By 2030, it's going to be 120 billion if you don't do nothing. I strongly do believe that the best way to leapfrog our food sovereignty, our soil sufficiency, must be backed by research. When public policy is not backed by research, it's like giving a car to a blind person. I would like, on behalf of our government, on behalf of Excellency the President of the Republic, of the Prime Minister, of the government of Senegalese, of all Senegalese people, we say, good welcome to ANAPRI. Now I think that I can speak my speech in French. Yeah. Son Excellence, Monsieur le Premier ministre et le représentant du gouvernement. Excellence, Monsieur Josepha Léonel Correa Sacco, commissaire à l'agriculture, au développement rural, à l'économie bleue et à l'environnement durable de l'Union africaine. Le président du conseil d'administration de l'ANAPRI, Dr Damas Philippe. Le président du conseil d'administration de l'ISRA, M. Moustapha Gueye. Le président du conseil d'administration de l'ISRA, M. Mbaye Sylla Dumois. Le directeur général de l'ISRA, M. Moustapha Gueye. Monsieur le directeur des centres d'ANAPRI, Mesdames et Messieurs les chercheurs, mais aussi chers partenaires de l'ANAPRI. J'ai vu l'Union africaine, USAID, Bill Gates Foundation, AGRA et toute autre institution. Mesdames et Messieurs les chercheurs, distingués partenaires techniques et financiers, distingués chefs de délégation, chers invités. Mesdames et Messieurs, tout protocole observé. Comme je l'ai dit en anglais, c'est avec un honneur, et un grand honneur et un privilège de m'adresser à vous aujourd'hui. Alors que nous nous lançons dans cette conférence scientifique internationale avec le réseau ANAPRI, je tiens à remercier les organisateurs, je tiens à remercier son Excellence Sacco et toute l'Union africaine pour leurs engagements à favoriser la recherche et la collaboration en Afrique. Nous pensons de plus en plus que les solutions doivent venir de l'extérieur. Je demeure, et notre gouvernement demeure, absolument convaincu qu'une coopération sud-sud, une coopération intra-africaine peut bel et bien donner des solutions. Le thème de cette conférence, de la politique à l'action, en tant que PhD holder, me parle énormément. Permettez-moi de répéter ça. De la politique à l'action, renforcer les capacités des institutions de recherche. Je dis souvent que l'autosuffisance alimentaire commence par l'autosuffisance des semences certifiées. Le marché des semences, le marché mondial des semences certifiées, est un marché de 70 milliards de dollars. Malheureusement, l'Afrique n'est pas dedans. D'ici 2030, ce marché va passer à 100 milliards de dollars. Il est temps que l'Afrique soit un prastake dans ces événements. Et je demeure absolument convaincu que la recherche est l'unique solution pour nous rendre indépendants. Chers chercheurs et chers partenaires, pour des systèmes alimentaires durables, des décisions politiques doivent être basées sur des données probantes, soutenues par de la recherche, par des universités extérieures, par nos institutions de recherche, par nos universités locales. Je disais tantôt, une bonne partie des pays africains, pour ne pas dire la presque totalité, importent du lait. Notre cher pays importe l'équivalent de 100 millions d'euros de lait, entre 65 et 70 milliards de nos francs. À côté de ça, notre pays ami, Ouganda, 48 millions d'habitants, produit 2,3 milliards de litres de lait. Cela montre que, entre Africains, on peut s'entraider. Les chercheurs ougandais peuvent aider ou collaborer avec les chercheurs sénégalais. Imaginez maintenant si les politiques publiques utilisent ces recherches, fruit de la collaboration intra-africaine. J'ai l'intime conviction qu'on peut accélérer notre autosuffisance. Et mieux encore, on peut l'accélérer à moindre coût. Les institutions africaines de recherche doivent être au cœur de cette transformation. Pourquoi? Parce qu'elles ont une capacité unique de produire des solutions adaptées aux contextes locaux. Regardez comment les économies africaines ont réagi par rapport à Covid. On a tendance à croire que tout ce qui est bon vient de l'étranger. Nos économies africaines, la recherche africaine a montré qu'on peut être résilient. Et Covid a été un bon test. Favoriser une approche systémique. Les systèmes alimentaires sont interconnectés. La recherche peut intégrer des dimensions aussi diverses que l'agriculture, la nutrition, les ressources en eau et la biodiversité. On dit souvent que les Africains utilisent en moyenne entre 17 et 20 kilos d'engrais à l'hectare, contre peut-être 120, 130 kilos à l'hectare dans certains pays. La recherche a montré, avec un système de développement d'économie circulaire, les engrais organiques, les engrais organominéraux peuvent donner une meilleure santé des sols. Vous imaginez maintenant, en se basant sur la recherche, fertility mapping, j'ai l'intime conviction que l'agriculture africaine peut avoir de meilleurs lendemains. Et il est temps de synchroniser ce que les public policy font et les résultats de la recherche. Raison pour laquelle je demeure absolument convaincu que ANAPRI a un très bon avenir devant eux. Informer les politiques publiques. En fournissant des données fiables et des analyses rigoureuses, les chercheurs peuvent orienter les décisions politiques pour garantir une production alimentaire durable et inclusive. J'ai visité l'université de Shandong en Chine. Les rendements par hectare de l'arachide avoisinent les 12,9 tonnes. Vous venez au Sénégal, on n'a même pas une tonne à l'hectare. La seule différence, ce n'est pas des sols plus fertiles, ce n'est pas une maîtrise de l'eau. Ils ont commencé avec des chercheurs qui les ont donné des semences certifiées de très haut rendement. Raison pour laquelle je demeure extrêmement convaincu que non seulement les politiques africaines le public africain doit soutenir la recherche, mais nos politiques publiques doivent utiliser les fruits de la recherche. Stimuler les collaborations interdisciplinaires. Comme je l'ai évoqué tantôt dans le cas du lait, les enjeux alimentaires transcendent les disciplines. Aujourd'hui, je demeure absolument convaincu que le digital, l'agriculture de précision, si nous voulons inviter les jeunes, les femmes, à investir davantage, à s'occuper davantage dans l'agriculture et dans l'élevage, nous devons non seulement utiliser la recherche, nous devons utiliser la technologie, car les jeunes sont plus orientés vers l'innovation. Donc, j'encourage ANAPRI à stimuler les collaborations interdisciplinaires. Créer des liens plus étroits entre les producteurs et les décideurs. Nous venons d'un conseil interministériel qui a été présidé par le Premier ministre du Sénégal. Avant ce conseil interministériel, Pour préparer ce conseil interministériel, nous avons organisé 3 à 4 rencontres où nous avons invité tous les acteurs de la filière agricole pour discuter entre collaborateurs, pour discuter entre producteurs, tous les acteurs de la chaîne de valeur et les décideurs. Raison pour laquelle aujourd'hui, je me réjouis de dire qu'on a pensé un excellent conseil interministériel et ça, cela montre que si nous ne lions pas, si nous ne créons pas des liens étroits entre les producteurs et les décideurs, on peut y avoir des challenges. La recherche doit être connectée aux réalités de terrain, au cadre politique. Raison pour laquelle je lance un appel au pouvoir, aux politiques et au pouvoir public. Investissons, soutenons davantage les chercheurs et la recherche africaine. Sous-investir dans la recherche, c'est acheter demain des denrées alimentaires à un plus fort prix. Le cas de l'Ukraine l'a montré. Un pays de moins de 50 millions d'habitants qui nourrit le monde. Les changements climatiques ont montré qu'aujourd'hui, la recherche africaine a besoin de nous aider à créer des variétés plus résilientes en termes de climatique. Raison pour laquelle les moteurs de décision des publics doivent être les drivers de la recherche. Et Son Excellence, Madame, si vous me permettez de faire une commande publique à ANAPRI. Vous savez, des fois en Afrique, on a tendance à écrire beaucoup de papiers quand il s'agit de faire de la recherche, qui malheureusement va terminer dans des tiroirs. Aujourd'hui, si vous voyez ce que nous importons, nous les Africains, si c'est l'Afrique de l'Ouest, vous allez voir le riz, vous allez voir le maïs, vous allez voir l'huile, vous allez voir le sucre, vous allez voir les fruits et légumes, et malheureusement même vous voyez des fois les boissons. Faites le ranking de ces commodités et vous vous dites, number one peut-être c'est le riz. Essayons nous en tant que chercheurs de fédérer nos moyens, de créer des variétés de semences certifiées qui vont faire que ce n'est plus 3 tonnes ou 5 tonnes à l'hectare, c'est 10 tonnes à l'hectare. Et en faisant ça, vous allez voir, vous allez être beaucoup plus écoutés par les politiques. De plus en plus, la dette des pays africains est telle que nous ne pouvons plus continuer à importer. La demande de la jeunesse, le nombre d'emplois que les pays africains doivent créer, nous pousse dans l'obligation de demander à nos universités, à nos écoles agricoles, à nos instituts de recherche, d'accélérer les rendements dans l'objectif de diminuer les importations. Promouvoir l'innovation et la digitalisation. Aujourd'hui, vous allez chez Google, le patron africain est un Africain. Ce n'est pas parce qu'il est noir qu'ils vont le nommer. C'est parce que ce jeune Africain, après a fréquenté les meilleures universités du monde, ce jeune Africain est capable, ce jeune Africain est en mesure de faire le job comme le ferait un Américain. Aujourd'hui, vous allez dans n'importe quelle multinationale, dans les nouvelles technologies, vous voyez des jeunes Africains. Nous ne pouvons plus vivre, nous ne pouvons plus faire de l'agriculture, nous ne pouvons plus faire de l'élevage en oubliant l'innovation et la digitalisation. La géolocalisation de nos parcelles, le fertility mapping, l'agriculture de précision doivent être maintenant des paramètres dont la recherche doit utiliser pour booster, pour accélérer l'augmentation de nos rendements. Mesdames et messieurs, l'Afrique a une opportunité unique de devenir un leader mondial en matière de durabilité alimentaire. Nous avons vu le succès qu'un pays comme le Maroc, l'Égypte, à travers les autoroutes de l'eau. Regardez tout récemment les records, les performances de l'Éthiopie sur le blé. Je demeure absolument convaincu que la recherche, surtout quand les pays africains se mettent ensemble, qu'on peut faire de très belles choses et influer les pouvoirs publics à prendre les bonnes décisions. Mais cela ne sera pas possible si nous ne faisons pas de la recherche une priorité. Si nous ne dotons pas nos institutions de moyens nécessaires. En tout cas, le directeur de l'ISRA vous le confirmera. Il n'y a pas 2 jours où on ne parle pas de l'ISRA dans notre département. Non seulement son Excellence le Président de la République et le Premier ministre en font une priorité, mais nos partenaires techniques et financiers aussi en font une priorité. Au passage, je remercie et je félicite Bill Gates Foundation d'avoir utilisé notre pays, d'avoir choisi notre pays comme bureau régional. Je remercie aussi AGRA d'avoir, après une rude compétition en finale contre le Nigeria, d'avoir choisi le Sénégal comme le futur pays, pour abriter le sommet africain de l'alimentation, pour vous dire que le choix d'ANAPRI au Sénégal n'est pas un choix fortuit. Je vous invite donc, tout au long de cette conférence, à explorer comment la recherche peut contribuer à bâtir un avenir alimentaire durable pour notre continent. Et j'exerce aussi, à l'image de ce que ANAPRI a fait, d'encourager les pays africains à collaborer ensemble. Il y a plein de choses que nous cherchons ailleurs, alors que chez le voisin. Ensemble, nous pouvons relever ces défis et faire de nos systèmes alimentaires un pilier de développement pour les générations futures. Je vous remercie et je vous souhaite une fructueuse délibération. Merci.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think I would like to challenge ANAPRI centers. You've heard, the Minister is challenging us, that there are so many challenges that we face in Africa, and the solutions are here. We have well-trained experts here. We need to utilize that opportunity to be able to provide a service to our continent. So in terms of where are you getting your research topics, I think Honorable Minister mentioned a lot of things. And as your Executive Director and at the Secretariat, I pay attention. And we have been challenged. And I'm already, Honorable Minister, promising you that we have tools that we will provide to deal with the problems you face. We have the policy prioritization through value chain analysis approach, where we are training our fellows to really provide guidance to our governments in terms of where should we put those resources. So the issue of seed systems, Honorable Minister, I will challenge my research director to really prioritize Senegal. And we will come back and we will discuss about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know the Honorable Minister has to go, but before he goes, I wanted to see if he could witness how ANAPRI is trying to influence change in the fertilizer and soil health space, particularly in terms of policy and advocacy space. ANAPRI has come together with a number of partners, IFPRI, the International Food Policy Research Institute, FANAPAN, AGRA, Michigan State University. We have come together to try to deliver the service that our continent requires in terms of domesticating the fertilizer and soil health in the continent. and would like the Minister and Ambassador Sako to witness that coming together of these partners, because there is no one partner that can deliver the answers to Africa. What we need is to work together and be able to deliver as one, and we'll see issues of food security dealt with, issues of poverty dealt with, issues of productivity dealt with. So let me take this opportunity and hand back the program to the MC.
Thank you, Dr. Chapoto. Thank you, Dr. Damas. Thank you, Dr. Mustafa Gay, DG of ISRA, for your kind words full of teranga and wisdom. Cette année, nous avons comme hôte le Bureau d'analyse macro-économique de l'Institut sénégalais de recherche agricole, ISRA. Je tiens à souligner que l'ISRA célèbre ses 50 ans cette année-ci. Le BAM, une unité de recherche transversale de l'ISRA, est spécialisée dans les politiques publiques agricoles. Et sa directrice, Madame Astou Diao, nous a fait l'honneur de sa présence aussi. Thank you, Her Excellency, Madame Josepha Correa Sacco, for your inspiring insights on the transformative potential of African-led solutions in shaping sustainable food systems in our continent. Thank you, Honorable Minister Mabouba Diagne, for your thoughtful remarks on Senegal's commitment to sustainable agriculture and food sovereignty. Par ma voix et pour la jeunesse, Monsieur le Ministre, nous tenons à saluer votre dévouement pour l'autosuffisance alimentaire au Sénégal et dans le continent africain. Now we will take a moment to enjoy a cultural interlude with a performance from a traditional Senegalese dance group. Right after that, we will proceed with the signing of the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Initiative for Africa Action Plan. So AFSHAP and Soil Initiative for Africa with our partners, Policy and Advocacy Coalition Agreement by ANAPRI, AGRA, FARNPAN, MSU, the Michigan State University, and IFPRI. The concerned stakeholders are kindly demanded to follow the instruction of our coordinators to ensure an efficient and smooth process. In the meantime, please join me in welcoming the traditional dance group, La Compagnie Bakalama, to the stage. A round of applause. Merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. I will now call Professor Dave Chirley from the Michigan State University. He will come to sign the coalition agreement of the Soil Initiative for Africa. Dr. Frances Hale from the FARNAAN. Dr. Henry from the IFPRI. Thank you. Dr. Aseta Diallo from the Agra. From Agra. Thank you. And last but not least, Dr. Anthony Chapoto from ANAPRI.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This is the coalition on policy and advocacy under the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan, as well as the Shore Initiative for Africa. For those who don't know about this, this is a big commitment that our leaders made back in May, as the Commissioner indicated. And there are 5 pillars, and policy and advocacy is one of them. And ANAPRI has been given the mantle by the coalition members to coordinate the activities of the coalition of policy and advocacy. And thank you so much, partners, for coming together with us. And we will not disappoint. We shall be able to move. The action this time around is we are not going to fail. Productivity has to triple. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will now proceed with the group photo session. Kindly follow the instructions of our coordinators to ensure an efficient and smooth process. Some pictures will be taken, but the official pictures are going to take place outside near the pool, the stairs near the pool. Donc la photo officielle pour les officiels va avoir lieu dehors, à côté de la piscine. Thank you, everyone, and those who have earphones on, please put them on your chairs and not on the ground so that they won't, have any issues. Thank you, everyone, and see you in a few minutes for the gala dinner at 6:30.